What's up, guys? Jared Bear here, and boy, do I have a gem of a video for you guys today. Okay, so I was streaming on Twitch last night. Which, speaking of which, my YouTube streaming stuff hasn't been working as of late, so that's why I haven't been streaming on here, and that's why you haven't seen me on here. By the way, if you're wanting to watch one of the streams on Twitch, I'll have the link in the description. But anyways, I'm streaming a commission last night, and I usually get like maybe once a night somebody will come in and ask for a free commission. And like always, I'll have to kindly explain to them that I can't do commissions for free. And for those curious why, commissions are how I pay bills and provide for my family. And my girlfriend is amazing enough to encourage that I pursue commissions rather than trying to work a minimum wage job. But the thing about last night's stream was the influx of people coming in asking for free work done. And the responses I would get when I insisted that it required money for any commission were very interesting, to say the least, and some were funny as hell. But I don't know, thinking about it afterwards, it kind of showed me how little people respect animation as a line of work. Truthfully though, I want to be optimistic and assume it's not disrespect, but rather just a lack of knowledge on how to approach an artist or really anyone who does commissions of any sort for money. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to try and explain everybody in a quick video on the topic, but long enough to hit the 10-minute retention mark because ad revenue. So with that in mind, guys, I present to you Jared Bear's guide to hiring someone for commission and stuff. Alright, so let's start off with one of the lesser offenders of the night, because this person truly didn't do much of anything wrong. It goes back to my thoughts of ignorance instead of disrespect. We'll call this person Jim. So Jim messages me in the chat and asks if I can make an edit for him. Whatever the hell he means by edit. I assume he means like an overlay or some type of branding picture. I replied to him with, yes, but it will cost. And he responds with this weird brownie face because emoticons suck and Twitches are no exception, and saying that he has no money. Now, like I said, this guy didn't really do anything wrong or noteworthy, but it's a good segue for the first rule of ordering commission. Be prepared to spend money before asking for a commission. There are a plethora of artists and musicians and things of that sort who will accept commissions for free, but keep in mind that the majority of us do this for a living. You have to be prepared to spend money in order to get someone to do a service for you. But with that said, let's move on to the next one. Now, this one was a little interesting. This guy comes into the chat and asks about commissions. I talked to him for a little bit about it in the chat, and then I end up sending him to my email to email me the specifics of the commission because, apparently he had all these things going on for the thing that he was working on, etc., etc. It was looking good. But then he discloses that I would need to make a 5-minute animatic for a series pitch, which for those of you who don't know, a pitch is what you present to a television network, and if they like the idea, they will give you the money to make the series. So he wanted me to make this 5-minute animatic for the pitch, and that I wouldn't be paid until the pitch was approved. Now, this brings me to my next point. You must respect the time of the artist. He or she is doing work for you, and there is usually little to nothing to gain from commissions with the exception of experience, unless there is money involved. So, with this guy essentially asking me to do a 5-minute animatic for him, which could have taken a month or two to complete. That's a month or two where I go without doing commissions that actually bring in money that I again use to provide for my girlfriend and my children. So after explaining this to him, he has a very hard time accepting no as an answer, which is a big no-no, by the way. If someone says no, that means no. But he begins getting more and more aggressive the further into the conversation that we get, and starts trying to bargain with me and Which brings me to my next point. You do not try to pressure the artist. Usually, all that will land you is on the artist's bad side, and then you're not getting anything done. Most commissioners are pretty set on what they need in order to continue doing commissions, and that needs to be respected if you plan on doing any sort of business with that said commissioner. If they expect something of you and you're passionate enough about the commission to go to any lengths to get it done, then you must do what is asked of you, just as we do for you, or simply walk away from the deal. For example, if the commissioner asks you for money in exchange for the commission, you better be ready to throw out some dough. And okay, so the guy even goes as far as to try to pawn the voice actors and the artists already involved in the pitch off on me, as if speaking for them. And it was clear in this case that he was more concerned with getting a product without worrying about those doing the work for him. And that was something I didn't want to be a part of, so I basically told him no. Okay, so finally, while not as frustrating as the guy before, this guy was actually more funny than he was insulting. So he comes in later in the stream and asks for a quote on an animation. He wants to find out how much money it's going to cost him in order to get one done. And after I give him a price, he shows his distaste first for the price by leaving the stream. I basically tell him the price and he dips out. Now, this guy's been in the stream before and has asked for commissions before with little to no money in hand, ready to give payment for the commission. And I had to turn him down before for the same reasons. And he has this trolling vibe about him. So I took what he said with little seriousness, which is probably why I found it funny. But I did approach him with as much professionalism as I could muster for the conversation for the particular situation. Anyways, he returns a little later and asks again for another quote, which I give him, as well as specifying that I require half the money up front. And for anybody wondering why my commissions are that way and why I feel that all commissioners should approach commissions that way, is that when someone has put half of the money for the commission in, they're not going to want to back out later on because they've already put money into it. But of course, you should always have a portfolio or something they can see for that. But when they put half their money in, they're just as committed as the commissioner, and they don't try to back out at the last minute and waste your time. I've had commissions where I finish the product and is ready to receive payment. Basically, all I have to do is send it to them, and all they have to do is send me money. That's basically all that has to happen. And then the customer backs out, and he has essentially left me with 3 weeks of wasted time where I didn't make any money because I wasn't working on anything that made money. And I of course, no money, and I've wasted 3 weeks of time. So when you're working to get a commission done, that's a no-no. Which brings me to another rule. Unrelated to the story, but just as important, don't waste the commissioner's time. In the line of commission work, the saying time is money is very, very true. If we end up not making any money off a piece of work that we've spent a substantial amount of time on, we're wasting time. And as mentioned before, the only thing to gain from in that situation is experience, but that doesn't really put rent money into it. Alright, but back to the story. He returns and asks for a quote. I give it to him, and he asked me, he asked me if I'm crazy.
You serious?
Like, what? Now, I'm not even mad at this. I'm more shocked than anything. Apparently, my price was so crazy to him that he thought I could potentially be psychotic. And I understand that to someone who doesn't know any better, this would be the correct response. But for those who feel this way, let's think about this for a minute. Let's say I do animation for a minimum wage job. Now, the median salary for an undergrad or graduate animation major is roughly 4 times higher than minimum wage. But let's just say minimum wage for the sake of the additional impact. I am a very skilled animator, and it took me 20 hours to animate my 8-second intro by myself. 20 hours of work for 8 seconds. That's a lot of time for very little. So if you do the math, it would roughly, if I were to order this for myself, it would cost me $140 for the 8 seconds. Now that's a little less than what I request for 30 seconds, but he's asking for 4 minutes. So let's just do a little bit more math, and based on that same math, it would cost about $4,800, although it would be considerably less time because the setup would already be done and it would just be a matter of completing it. So we'll just half it and say $2,500. So I would normally get paid $2,500 for the same job if I were in a production company. But I asked him for $450, and apparently I've officially lost my marbles. But it's okay. He's got his friend to do it afterwards. I mean, uncle friend. I don't fucking know. Which brings me to my next point. Don't ever complain about the price. There are always commissioners who will do work for free, and keep in mind that not all artists, especially the ones you like, may not share that same sentiment. Animation is a trade, and a very high-paying one, in fact. So don't be surprised at the price tag if it's a bit on the steep side. Look, we get that we're expensive as animators, but that doesn't make our job any less hard and our bills any less due. Some commissioners don't have to pay for their own expenses, and that's fine, but there's a good bit of us that need money. If you don't like the price, then just walk away. It's that easy. To be honest, I'm not even sure what it is about any type of service that people provide for others that makes those people inconsiderate to those giving the service. I know I, as an animator, of course I'm a person, and I really hate being treated like I'm not a person when I'm trying to do something nice for somebody. Over the past year or two, I've seen a bunch of different examples of popular YouTubers, for example, treating animators very poorly. Like example, the scenario with Pro Syndicate and Keemstar against Machbot. And now recently, Leafy has gotten into trouble because he can't credit the animator who just recently did some work for him on his channel. And nothing was really done about it until he got flack for it. Animators are basically at this point restaurant employees, or fast food restaurant to be specific. Anybody coming in complains about how much work they do with editing and any type of shit like that. But I promise you that 95% of animators put in more work into their content than the rest of you do. Our work is highly demanded, but all of a sudden we're becoming underappreciated. This is more of a rant than anything, of course, as you can tell, but all I'm asking is that if you're watching this, just take a minute or two to respect the people providing services for everybody. We're just trying to do something we love for a job. I'll see you guys later.